The midnight bus. Trung was a student far from home. That day he had to catch a late bus back to his hometown because of urgent matters. When he arrived at the bus station, he saw that there was only one bus waiting for passengers. The license plate was old, the windows were covered with a layer of dust. On the front of the bus, the red words, "Last Bus," were flashing faintly. Although he was a bit hesitant, because he didn't want to wait until morning, Trung decided to get on the bus. Entering, he realized that the space inside was extremely quiet. There were only about 7 or 8 passengers scattered on the seats, all of them with their heads down, strangely silent. The driver was a middle-aged man, with pale gray skin and deep-set eyes. He didn't say anything when Trung gave him the fare, just silently took it and signaled him to find a seat. Trung chose a seat near the window, then leaned his head against the seat, trying to doze off. The bus slowly rolled into the night. The passengers still. After a while, Trung began to feel that something was wrong. Normally, buses were noisy with talking, but this one was too quiet. No one talked. No one moved. In fact, from the time he got on the bus until now, Trung had not seen anyone move even a little. He glanced at the person sitting right across the aisle, a young girl with long hair, wearing a white dress. She sat motionless, her head tilted slightly to one side, her hair covering half her face. Feeling a chill down his spine, Trung reached out to lightly touch her. Cold. He jumped, his heart pounding. Although he was a little scared, he reassured himself that the girl was probably just sleeping. However, when he looked more closely, he realized that her chest was not heaving. She wasn't breathing. Trung's whole body was cold. He looked at the other passengers. They were all motionless, like lifeless dolls. Trung swallowed, feeling an invisible fear gripping him. Whispering in the night. He quickly turned to the front, intending to ask the driver what was going on. But when he looked up at the rearview mirror, Trung froze. In the mirror, the driver was turning his head to look straight at him through the mirror, even though he was still driving normally. His eyes were pitch black, empty, without whites. Trung felt his heart almost stop beating. Suddenly, a soft voice rang out in his ear. "You will be like them too." Trung turned around abruptly. The girl next to him had turned her head to look straight at him. His face was pale, his eyes were deep like 2 dark holes, his lips curled into a pale smile. Trung screamed, jumping up from his seat. But he immediately realized that all the other passengers were also turning their heads towards him, with the same ghostly smile. He rushed straight towards the car door, banging hard on the glass door. "Let me down. Let me down now." But the driver only chuckled, his voice resounding as if from a faraway place. "No one is getting off this bus." The car suddenly accelerated, rushing faster in the dark night. Trung felt the world spinning, everything around him seemed to be distorted, deformed. The door to hell. He couldn't let himself die here. Looking around desperately, Trung discovered a small door right at the back of the car, above which was a faint line of words, "Exit." Without thinking, he rushed over and turned the doorknob. The door suddenly opened, but behind it was not a street, but a deep, pitch-black void. A cold wind sucked him in, pulling him down into the endless abyss. From the bus, the eerie laughter of the driver and the remaining passengers echoed. Trung screamed. Then, everything went dark. Another bus. The next morning, the police found a passenger bus overturned on the side of the road. All the passengers inside were dead, their faces still bearing strange smiles. No one knew why the bus had an accident. But the next night, at another bus station, an old bus stopped in front of the station gate, the words flashing on the top of the bus. "Last bus." And another passenger got on the bus.